This video is specifically, well, it's not specific, but it's for in response to one of my followers called Honey. She was asking me about the title of her, to suggest to her the title of her master's thesis or dissertation. Of course, dissertation, if you are in Britain, you say dissertation for a master's and thesis for a PhD. But in the American English, it is the opposite. So the master's will be a thesis and a PhD is a dissertation. This is different between British English and American English. Now, she's asking me to suggest to her some topics or some titles for her master's thesis or dissertation. Let me just clarify this for everybody who is studying research or doing research in translation studies in particular. Now, what you need to do, whether it's my follower Honey or any other researcher, whether it's PhD or MA, masters, what you need to do, you need to decide on first which text, which translated text you want to go for, whether it is a book, a published book, or whether it's a video, film, audiovisual, or whether it's interpreting section or type of interpreting that you're doing, where you get some interpreters to do some recordings and you analyze them. So first you need to decide on the type of text that you want to analyze, which is also if it's translated from English into Arabic or from Arabic into English. This is another important point. Or whether you are finding that you are not attempting to translate the text yourself and then analyzing it, because that makes you not objective in your analysis and in your criticism of the translation. So it's better to find an already done translation and comment on it or annotate it or talk about it. So whether it's audiovisual text that you want to analyze or a printed text like in the media or in business or in literature or whatever. So that you have to decide upon. Nobody can decide it for you. Secondly, you need to decide on a model, theoretical model, يعني نموذج, to analyze according to that model. So you decide which model I want to go for. You want to go for Vinay and Darwin-Net. You want to go for Catford linguistic analysis. You want to go for cultural turn. You want to talk about culture. You want to talk about cultural expressions, how they are translated. You want to talk about translation and context of culture and context of situation. These are quite a few ideas. Or you want to talk about ideology, the ideology behind the translation. In other words, the person whose ideology is, let's say, backing Palestinians, for example. So they choose certain words in their translation that actually have some impact or some force, or it has influence. It's been influenced by a certain ideology. So you can talk about ideology and translation. Or it is being backed by an Israeli view, for example. So this is another hidden agenda, political agenda. So this is also another issue that you could be looking at when you are doing research. So the model, you need to decide which model I want to apply when I am analyzing this text, and you need to explain that model well. So you need to read a lot. Another point that you need to put is to know what is my aim from this research. What am I trying to prove here? So you need to put an aim in mind, and then try to achieve that aim through research questions. You put research questions. To what extent does this model apply, or to this text that I'm using, for example, whatever. So you put research questions, and a very good book to go for is the book called The Map, which was published in 2000. Now this one is really important by I'm trying to remember what's his name. But anyway, if you go to some of my videos that I've recorded a few months back about research, about how to research a paper, how to write a paper, research methodology, literature review, how to do literature review, and so on. So the book map, The Map, is really good and useful for that. You need to know about the research methodology as well. What kind of methodology I'm going to be following? How many articles I need to read before I can start? How do you select them? How do you exclude some articles and include some articles in your research? You need also to read the latest published articles in well-known translation journals, peer-reviewed ones, يعني دوريات محكمة. For example, the Target, the Translator, these are good journals. So you look in them and find, let's say, what's the latest articles written there. Open one of the articles, look at it, see what in the article is mentioned about further research or future research that's not been done by this article. They usually say further research will be whatever, to follow this and that and the other, or research in the future needs to tackle or discuss or examine or investigate or whatever. So you need to look what is required for further research in that article or these 5 articles that you see. So this is very, very important. So if you see 5 articles from each journal, and let's say you find 4 or 5 journals, take these articles, look at also the list of references in these articles, and then see if there are any references or sources or books that are of interest to you, and then you write a proposal. Okay, I hope that I have actually explained very, very briefly what you need to be doing in order to decide on the topics or on the area that you are interested in. Have a nice day.